What's going on, Player Profiler Nation? Welcome to Trade Gods Overtime. I'm joined by Jason Allwine. We are taking it to OT. We got one more buy or sell candidate that we are going to talk about here in the overtime session. So, without further ado, let's break down whether DeAndre Hopkins is a buy or a sell. Jason, what should people who roster or even don't roster D Hop do in Dynasty?
Yeah, I think basically he's going to classify as a buy. I do think that his value is low enough to where you're going to get great season production out of him, no matter where he lands, to be honest, at a good price. However, it's really only if you're a contending team. I don't know if that really has to be said, but I mean, you're not really going to go out to trade for him if you're not hoping to win the thing. Dude's too old to worry about that. But yeah, I mean, I think he's one of the perfect assets to own if you're a competing team. And right now, there are three teams that are looking at getting him. Tennessee, New England have brought him in. Betting favorites are Buffalo, or not like a favorite, but just someone who's also up there is Buffalo, the Bills. They don't have a lot of money, but it's definitely possible. All three of those landing spots would be fantastic. The Patriots, of course, would be my favorite out of those landing spots. I think that Mac Jones could support him well. I think that he fits well in that wide receiver core in general, and would get, tons of volume, touchdowns, whatever you want from a wide receiver like DeAndre Hopkins in that offense. So I would definitely love that landing spot. But I mean, I think you could expect that even on the Titans, maybe less volume, but still a certain amount of touchdowns. The Bills, he might have to fight Stephon Diggs, but again, he's going to get some touchdowns. He's going to get some yardage. So, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is just so good that I'm definitely looking to buy that guy if I'm
competing. That's a definite classification, and I think you don't have to sell now if you're not. No. I think you can slow play because I do think he's a good player. 31 years old though, so you are looking to cash in, on the short term in terms of D Hop. We've talked about the three landing spots. The three betting favorites, as of 4 days ago, was the Patriots, the Tennessee Titans, and the Buffalo Bills. After that, it's the Lions, in which I haven't heard anything about the Lions, but it would make sense. And then it gets kind of, your plus 1,000 type team. So nothing that it wouldn't be totally shocking. I mean, everyone else would be totally shocking. So the three teams that he's, kind of the leaders in the clubhouse to land the services of Hopkins are all, I think, really good, like you said.
Yeah.
He routinely saw 150 or more targets in Bill O'Brien offenses. Yep. Jason, where is Bill O'Brien working this year?
Remind me, is he perhaps with the Patriots?
Yeah, I think he is. And because of that, I am going to switch to Patriot Red, D-Hop, former Cardinal Red also. But yeah, I mean, he's been successful with Bill O'Brien in the past. Bill O'Brien came in town to implement his offense. And upon his visit in New England, immediately reports were coming out where, the media wanted, us to know wholeheartedly that all of the DeAndre Hopkins, Bill O'Brien drama, the beef that was being talked about was all unfounded. It was really blown out of proportion. There really is no animosity between the two. They can't pay him, so I wouldn't be surprised if they bring him on. And it seemed like the visit went well. Mac Jones is looking for an alpha. He would no doubt be the best wide receiver on that team. He would be the wide receiver one. He would instantly be the top dog in terms of the passing hierarchy in New England and Tennessee. And I can't let my hometown bias get in the way because there is that optimism he will sound New England. I can't help it. It's there. But I do believe that both those landing spots are pretty good. And, we talked about why New England's good. Here's why Tennessee is pretty good. Austin Hooper and Robert Woods are Audi 5000. They are no longer Tennessee Titans. And with their departure means that 35% of the Titans' total targets from 2022 are now vacated.
Nice.
I'm not saying DeAndre Hopkins instantly takes all 35% if he goes there, because I do believe, Treylon Burks will get his fair share. But come on, that's a lot of vacated targets and not a whole lot of players to catch them. I mean, we're looking at Chigakonkwu and Treylon Burks being the two primary pass catchers in Tennessee. You add D-Hop, he instantly becomes the number one. And again, I think 100 140, 150 targets are absolutely in play for D Hop there, whether it's Ryan Tannehill or Will Levis. I think he's matchup proof. We've seen DeAndre Hopkins produce with the likes of Tom Savage, Brock Osweiler at
100%.
quarterback, so he can get it done with subpar quarterbacks. And then with Buffalo, they may not provide like that volume that Tennessee and New England can, because he will be the wide receiver too. Stephon Diggs is still the man there, but that'll be, you could do worse than being the wide receiver two in an offense that's as elite as the Buffalo Bills. And let's not forget, the Bills have been thirsting after a number 2 pass catcher that can take over a game other than Stephon Diggs, because when playoff time rolls around, all that coverage goes to Diggs and it becomes frustrating for them to get him the ball. So D-Hop going there, he may not get those 150 targets, but he would see probably 100 to 108 targets, and they'd be super high quality, like you said, targets that would lead to touchdowns and first downs and big plays. So absolutely great landing spots. We're both talking about buys here, but is there anything in his his statistical profile that really kind of suggests to you that there's stuff left in the tank, or is this a strictly landing spot play for you?
I mean, I think you can just literally go back to last year, and I mean, he had an extreme value discount. I mean, I was seeing him go undrafted in some leagues because of the suspension, but then he comes back from the suspension and he averages 17 points a game.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, what else do you want? I see you put some metrics here. 51.8% route win rate, number 4 in the league. Against man coverage specifically, he was number 2. I mean, come on. I mean, the dude is fantastic. Yeah. I mean, literally fantastic. I mean, one of the best wide receivers in the league, if not, to me, one of the best, like the best wide receiver. If you were building a prototypical wide receiver as an NFL GM, the guy you want is DeAndre Hopkins. And before that, it was Calvin Johnson. So, I mean, I'm never, ever going to shy away from getting a guy that is, I mean, let's face it, probably a Hall of Famer for how good he's been over his career. I'm going to buy him. I don't care about the landing spots. I think if I do roster him, we kind of talked about that a little bit. I'm not selling right now. I mean, I know we've classified him as a buy, so he's definitely not a sell. But if you are looking to sell him, don't do it right now. I think that even if he goes somewhere that's not, desirable, it's still going to be very similar to where he's valued without a landing spot. And I just would rather take a small dip in value if that value then becomes known. And it's like, I can take DeAndre Hopkins, I can sell him because now I know where he's at. I know a type of production that he's going to get. And then that's a little bit easier to value, a lot easier to value even. That I'm definitely not doing anything with him right now if I roster him. And then if I don't roster him, I think it's fine to try to go out there and buy him because, like I said, I do believe he's probably the best wide receiver in the NFL in terms of just real football. And so a landing spot doesn't matter for a player like that. It really doesn't. So it's just, he's just so good.
Yeah, right when he got back from suspension. I mean, the first game, Thursday Night Football, against the New Orleans Saints, 14 targets, 10 catches for over 100 yards. Instantly comes back, and it was just that guy in that offense. He was ninth. He had the 9th most points per game since after he returned. But he also was expected to score even more points. He had the 5th highest expected points per game. So that tells me that it's for real. It wasn't totally touchdown dependent. 5 games last year where he finished as a top 15 receiver or better on the week. And he came back in week 7. The guy's still a great player. He's a great route runner. You talked about how good he can win and how much of a winner he is on the field. He's still a killer route technician. I'm looking to buy, no doubt, but I would also employ. So make sure you check out this week's episode of Trade Gods, because me and Jason talk a little bit of trade tactics, and we talk about how you don't directly go after the player who is in the news because you will give that fantasy manager a reason to bump the price immediately. So D-Hop falls into that same category to me as the guy we talked about on this week's show, where I'm not going straight for D-Hop because I think you will get price gouged a tad. I will try to get something else and get D-Hop thrown in, and hopefully you can cast that net and bring him in with another player that you can use to win now. Maybe the player we talked about on this week's episode of Trade God. So we're saying buy DeAndre Hopkins. That is this episode of the Trade Gods Overtime edition. Come back next week, and the Trade Gods will be next Thursday at 8 p.m. and we will have some great guests. So he's Jason Allwine. I'm Matty Kiwoom. We are the Trade Gods. We'll see you next week. Peace.